I'm going to show you a Christmas project that we are going to be doing at my camp. Getting finished with my 2018 stamp projects. I can't believe another year's come and gone. You may have seen my card. I think it's laying here. Let me grab it. This video I just recently posted, this one here. I've been super busy, and normally I would say I probably do 95% of my projects where I come up with them completely from my own head. In fact, that's one of the reasons I most like pre-order, and one of the reasons I'm really eager to get started on my projects next week, because I try not to look. I haven't hardly been on Pinterest at all, and I need to get some recipes for some Christmas things we have coming up. But I like to do stuff before I've seen anybody else's work, so I try to stay off so I don't see anything. I'm not influenced by anything. But I've been really busy because we were on vacation, and we had markets, and then we had on stage, and so I have done a couple of projects. This was one where I was inspired by, this one was inspired by the catalog. So if you go to this stamp set, the one in the catalog, you can see how I've switched it up. You can see on my website, I put the original picture and show how I changed it. I have one more that's coming that will be inspired by the demonstrator newsletter that we get. And today, the project I'm going to show you was inspired by Shelly Gardner, who is the founder of Stampin' Up. Shelly's style is, I'm often inspired by her. She uses a lot of stuff on her cards, and I like to use a lot of stuff on my projects as well. This is a project that she showed when she was on the cruise in Alaska. And ever since I first saw it posted, I've been eager to try it. So I switched it up. So it was inspired by, so it's the same project overall. I don't have any idea how she did it, but this is my take on it, and I switched the colors all together. So I'm going to show you how I did it. To do the project the way we're going to do it at my camp, I've already punched stuff out. So I have 3 strips of paper the girls are going to get. We have one of Whisper White, one of, so this would be 11 inches. They're all 2 inches by, this is 2 by 6 of the Joyous Noel Glimmer paper. And this one is kind of hacked. It's 2 by 12 of the Farmhouse Designer Series paper. So those are the ones that they'll be getting, and I'll show you the other side of this paper. Is that. So I wanted something that was neutral on the other side. I really like this. Actually, my little piece that I've made, I'm making the little tree, is going to go down. I have a collection when we went to Iceland. I fell in love with the little elves that they had there, and I bought a couple. They were super expensive, as is a lot of stuff in Iceland. It's a beautiful country, but it's pricey. So we did buy a couple of the little elves, gnomes things, and then we came back here and, oh, they happen to be in style. So I bought a few more of those. So this little tree, red and white, is going to go with my elf display. And I will take some pictures of my finished tree, and then I'm going to set it up with my elves downstairs, and I'll show you how it looks down there. So I just decided to do this last night as I was thinking I had several inspired by projects. And then I saw the tree and I thought, oh, I really wanted to do that, and I never got around to it. But you know, I don't have time to go to the store because today's Friday, camp is Saturday, and I'm not leaving the house. So I have to work with what I have. But you know, when you're a camp craft hoarder, sometimes you just have lots of stuff. So Shelly used some adorable little log pieces, and I will, if you go to my website, you can see her original project. I have some popsicle sucker sticks from, I think, a long time ago. This is how long ago, when the Colts were in the Super Bowl. My daughter was still in high school. We made little scrapbooks. So I have some of these left because they were the binding. I have no idea what I have these from. Maybe from when I made some little fairies myself. So this is how I'm going to do mine. And it worked perfect with the color scheme of my tree. So they do fit in here, and I thought, oh, that's perfect. But then when I started putting this stuff on it, they topple over. I also didn't want to use hot glue, because when we use hot glue at my camp, sometimes people get burned. So my goal was to do this project with no hot glue, but then if you use any of the other glues, it tends, you know, you're always waiting. I love the green glue, but you're waiting for it to dry. And with this project, I didn't want it to take that long, and I knew it would make a mess. So we're going to go with the tear and tape. So this is a super quick project. So first I want to stick my base on here. So the tear and tape is really sticky. If you have any of the old red line tape, it would work as well. So I'm just going to wrap a tiny bit around here, and I'm going to leave it a little bit longer than I want it to be, because I want it to go around a couple of times, partly because I want to give it a little bit of extra bulk, because the hole's a little bit bigger than my popsicle stick. So just tear this off. If you've not used it, it's kind of like double-sided tape. And then because I've got the second way around, I'll have it. Then I'm going to shove this up in here and then shove that down in there. And look, now we have a better base. So now it's actually stuck on there. It does leave the glue down on the bottom. And when I was working with it before, to have it just standing, I just put it here on a dimensional and I just had it held on the table. But then I did design a base, so I'm going to go ahead and make the base. But if you want, when you're working on yours at home, you could just hold it to the table with the dimensional. These are our pearlized doilies. I'm just going to take one of those. So it's perfect base for the Christmas tree. And then I've got just some Whisper White cardstock. And this is our 1 3/8 inch circle punch, scallop circle punch. And then this is some more of the red glimmer paper from the Joyous Noel. We have regular red as well. So I have those two. The new, our new glimmer papers, you know, on the old ones, they used to be like slippery on the back and the adhesives didn't stay. But on the new ones, the snail sticks just fine. And plus I've got that little bit of the tear and tape that's mushing out the end of that. So I want the pearlized side to be up. So I'm going to take my white one and just stick it to the bottom. It's going to be the bottom of the base. And then I'm going to just stick my red one on top. And just add a little bit more snail here. You have to add a couple of strips because it does sometimes resist the... So there you go. So the reason I had it on the dimensional before is because there's a lot of picking up and picking down, but I think I'll be okay. I wasn't sure how big my base was going to be the first time I made it. So then I'm just going to take my tear and tape, rip off a little strip, and I'm going to start about where you want the base of your tree to be. And then the trick to this is to kind of wind it so it doesn't really overlap on itself, which then means it kind of lifts up a little bit. So after I'm done wrapping it, I'll hold it up to show you what I mean. Kind of like a straw would be. That's how it's going to look. I wasn't sure the first time I did this if it was going to work. And you know, when it's the day before camp and you really should be to the stage where you're cutting paper and perhaps straightening up your house a little bit and doing some of the other things, as well as I wanted to get these projects filmed. I'm thinking this better work because after I spend this much time, but it did work, so I was pleased. And I wasn't real sure if I was going to end up with a lot of extra goop in the middle, but I didn't. So overall, it was pretty successful. If you have the old red line tape, it's a tad bit stronger, so you might have to... I had thought that if there was a lot of extra in there, I was going to pour glitter on it, which was going to be messy. Beautiful, but messy. The red line, you might have to do that. This, you didn't have to. So you can see here how it's just kind of like a straw. Hopefully you can see that. Sometimes I've got my camera facing towards me because I know it gives a little bit better resolution, but now I can't see if it's blurry. So I left this little piece here so I can peel that off, which you know is better when you have nails, and I have none. But I'll get it. Some dead air time. I could talk and fill it, but then I can't concentrate on getting the tape. Maybe I'll go from the bottom. I went from the top last time. I might have to take my glasses off. I'm trying to go faster and avoid the stuff that I think is going to slow me down when actually it would probably speed up if I took my glasses off and could see it better. I think I got it. There we go. So once you get it, you just pull this off, and it leaves the second layer of tape on. You want to do it gently though, so you don't lift the tape off. And I just pre-punched all my things here, so they're here ready to go. The first time I didn't do that because I wasn't sure how many it would take. And I started with the designer series paper, and then I added in the glimmer paper, and then I filled it up with the white paper. So I'm going to do it a little bit different this time, since I know how much I put on there, because that's exactly how many are on the tree that I have finished. And I'm going to work my way up, and hopefully that works. So here you just have a sticky stick now. And the reason I'm going to work my way up is because before, when I kind of filled it up and then went back and filled them in, sometimes when they dangled down, they would get stuck in it. So I'm just going to start. And with the designer series paper, I did one this direction. So the red was up, this stripy side. And then one directly across from it with the stripy side. And then once you have those, you can kind of pinch them. So you don't want them to go down too far, because otherwise they touch. And then I took the other side, so because I do like this side of the, it matches my elves. If you don't have elves and you don't want the rustic side, you can skip that and just do all red. Or if you're using the green papers, you can do all green. So I did that, and then you pinch them. And then I'm going to take some white. And where there's tape here, just put some white. And when you do it straight across, then again, you can just pinch them. Kind of pinch so it has like this much of it. So there's enough that it's going to hold it. This stuff's really sticky if you've worked with it before. And then do the same with kind of just filling in the gaps. And then when I got to the end, where there were a couple of dead spots, I just filled it back in with some more white, because you have plenty of paper to fill these in. And there are going to be gaps at the end, and it makes it not be so even. So now we're back to the red. And then I kind of just used my snips at the end, you're going to see, and then kind of forced them in there. It doesn't take nearly as many as you want. I have seen some works of art on Pinterest recently with this sprig punch, where they have made some wreaths where they must have been punching forever. But this little wispy tree for my little wispy elves, you know, if you've seen the elves that I'm talking about, they often don't even have faces. So, you know, for my faceless elves, I didn't feel like I needed any kind of super duper tree with lots of detail. If my elves don't even have a face, they don't really need trees that have umpteen trillion leaves on them. I did try to end at the top with some patterns and some glimmer. I didn't want to end at the top with the white, so I'm going to flip these kind of around and try to get, oops. Up here I'll do 4 in a circle of these instead of just 2, and then smush them. I would like to start at the top because you can tell it's been sticking to my fingers up here. But it's easier this way. Now, I've just held it like this and then kind of pull them down because you want them to have some dimension. And then this is where you'll see some of the space open up on your trunk or your popsicle stick. We're going to go for trunk. And then where there's some empty space, just you have a few leftovers and just fill those in. And I am going to have to take my glasses off because I'm not going to be able to see the trunk. Maybe I can. But you can see it's pretty stuck. I'm pulling on these pretty hard, and that tearing tape, once you've smashed them on there, it holds them pretty well. And you can kind of just bend these up because where you've smashed them, it pulls them. So right there's an empty spot. And I have one glimmer left, so I'm going to make sure I get all my glimmer on there. So these you just kind of stick in there. And smash them in. And then I have, these were just half pieces. I guess I've pretty much used my other tree. I did manage to get more white, but like I said, I did a different way. So that looks pretty good. So here's what we've got so far. And it's whimsy. If you were gonna do, I couldn't tell on Shelly's. If somebody has seen hers and you want to comment in my comments, you can tell me how she did it. It looks like maybe they punched hers and slid them on, but there's not a lot you're working with. But her stem is not a popsicle stick. Hers is something wood. I can get one more there. I don't want to have glue either. And if you put this away for the winter, don't put it in your attic or someplace where it's going to be really hot or really cold, because this stuff will melt. And then you'll get it out next year. And all of your branches will have fallen off because the heat will take them off. Okay, I'm going to leave that. So I've got it on my little base and I'm almost done. I'm going to take, you can probably guess one of the ribbons I'm going to use because it makes an appearance on so many of my projects. But this is the farmhouse ribbon. It's the braided linen trim. And I just want a little bow. And I found the easiest way to do it is I'm going to go ahead and start my ribbon so I can get kind of, my boys would like this, my nephews. I'm going to get a lasso going. Because, you know, all of my ribbon on Thanksgiving, I was down literally getting the last of Thanksgiving ready, and they came down and they said, Sherry, and I said, what? And they said, can you take us up to make lassos? And I'm like, really? But you know, if you haven't watched my videos, all of this ribbon is just needed in their eyes for lassos. They have the most beautiful lassos in the world. When my daughter was young, we had mostly girls. I have one nephew from that generation, and they never, ever, ever used my ribbon, my giant stash of beautiful Stampin' Up! Ribbon for lassos. But now I have all boys. All my nephews and grandnephews are boys. So if they want lassos, they get beautiful lassos. But they didn't get them on Thanksgiving because there was meal prep going on downstairs. So because I just tied that little lasso and got that strung on there, now I have the bow. I did think, I didn't move any over here, about taking a glue dot and just kind of putting a glue dot behind that so it doesn't come untied. But I mean, these really aren't meant to be played with because they, fragile is not really the word, but kind of fragile. And then here's my polka dot tool, which love, love, love. And it's in the Whisper White. Don't you want to put your vanilla on here because it will make it look like it's dirty. And again, just tie your lasso. And then this time I kind of got half of my other ribbon on it. And kind of that top setting of branches. And that way I knew that I could kind of tie some of this on here. I'm just going to pull this bow through. There we go. So I did it all without any hot glue, all without waiting for anything to dry, just the way we like it at camp, because nobody has to wait for their project to dry before they have to take it home, and nobody got burnt. Because we've had both happen. You know, you set stuff aside and then people leave it. In a project like this, nobody wants to leave their Christmas project here and then pick it up in January. And I most certainly hate it when people get burnt at camp. So I'm going to tie another little bow here because, you know, nothing makes me happier than on our projects than to do a double bow, especially with a tool. And then just one last little touch. How sweet it is. It's already sweet, just like this. I could stop, but why stop? Because, you know, I'm sure Shelly would approve because more is always more. I'm going to take some red rhinestones, and not a lot. And you just really want them on the tips of some of your white branches or maybe some of your designer series paper because they won't show up on the glimmer. So just add, I think I added 4 to my other tree. And just at the front, because there is a front where your bow is. But you will want to make sure that you go to my website, and I will link Shelly's website because she has beautiful projects on hers. If you've not been to hers, it's So Shelly. But her tree is exactly, it's the same style. Again, I don't have any idea how she made it. But because it's green and it has wood, it's not as whimsical as mine. Super cute. But you'll want to see how hers looks because it's obviously different than mine. So there you go. One teensy tiny little tree from the Sprig punch. No glue. Easy peasy. Nobody got burnt. Nobody had to go to the store. It was all just stuff I had laying around. So I hope you enjoy that. And again, don't feel like if you are inspired by other people, feel free to copy this exactly as you see it if you happen to have some lollipops and some random balls sitting around in your craft room. But this was all stuff I just had laying around. But don't always feel free to copy and be inspired by other people's work. That's why we share. So have a great day and have a Merry Christmas. Bye.